Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to have a look at this endgame study. So it's white to play and win. What is the correct move for white? Well, in general, we are trying to promote this rook pawn, and as we know, white has a light square bishop, which means it's unable to control the h8 square, which is the queening square, which is very important for rook pawns. As a result, black is able to come and occupy this square without the bishop's hindrance. So how can white win this tricky endgame? Even though it's very simple, it's still tricky. The correct move for white here is king f2. All the other moves are drawish. After king c7, now the only move that wins for white, can you find it? It's bishop h7. Well, as I told you, king is coming to occupy the h8 square, so the bishop actually prevents the g8 square for the king. We can see what happens, for example, in this position if white king simply took the pawn. If that's the case, black here can draw this position by playing g6. It attacks the bishop at the same time. It gives this vacant square for the g7 square for the king, and the king will easily come and occupy h8, and after that you won't be able to do anything about the king. So that's why it's very important to play bishop h7, and after that king d6. Here white takes the pawn. After king e6, king g4, king f7 is played, and as you can see, the bishop is in its correct square. It is guarding both g8 and g6. So here white simply plays g5, king g5, and after black pushes the pawn, now the second most important thing for white is to simply protect the g7 square. So how is it possible? Simply play king h6, and now black tries this trick, tries to push the pawn to g5. You cannot take this pawn. If you do, for example, now all of a sudden the g7 square is vacant for the black king, and this will eventually be a draw because black king will be able to come to h8, and this bishop will not be able to chase the king away from h8. So after king g7, so going back to this position, we had to play h3, and for example, now if black plays g4, you simply take the pawn, and now you don't have any problem because this is no more a rook pawn, it's a knight pawn, and white is actually occupying the key squares for this pawn at the moment, and this will be an easy win for white. So h3 is the correct move in this position. After that, the king will play king f6. Bishop g6 is played by white, and king e6. It's only now that white should take the pawn, and now still it's not a win for white yet because black still is able to come and occupy the h8 square. So white should prevent that. Again, because it's a rook pawn, we also need to know the only two squares for this pawn, key squares for this pawn, is g7 and g8. The white king should come and occupy these two squares, either one of these squares, otherwise it's a draw. So white king tries to do that by h6, and after f8, now black is trying to control the two key squares, but white uses zugzwang and simply plays king h7, and now it's a zugzwang. The black king has to move away, and white king comes and occupies one of the key square, which is g7, and all of a sudden this pawn is now easy to queen. There's no hindrance to queen this pawn, and this is a winning endgame. I hope you enjoyed this video. For more videos like this, please like and subscribe, and it's bye for now.